take a look at a few news stories. After Elon Musk gave Nazi salutes at Trump's inauguration, Steve Bannon gave many Nazi salutes at the Conservative Political Action Committee meeting, where I think Trump is now speaking today. And, it's getting to the point where people that are less insane, like, believe it or not, even Nick Fuentes, who is a very extreme, he's basically a Nazi himself, but he thinks these openly Nazi salutes are unwise at this point. He thinks they're pushing it a little too far, a little too fast. I imagine this will just be mainstream Republican activity within a month or two, just giving the Nazi salute to Trump, who has declared himself a king. In Missouri, a lawmaker has proposed to register pregnant women. This is something Trump also said he wanted to do. He thinks the states he said he expects the states to do it, to have registries of women who are pregnant so they can track them and prevent them from having abortions. They want to make the states report what women get abortions and what methods are used and all that, so they can track them. This is part of their program of basically removing women from having full rights in America and turning them back into the way it was in the Middle Ages, where women are just possessions, properties of men, and they need men's permission to do anything like get an abortion. Speaking of which, there's another one around here. Maybe I can find it. They have made a proposal to remove the federal website have made a proposal to remove the right to vote from women. It is a little bit sneaky. Let me see if I can find it. Should be somewhere in my list here. Maybe I can't find it, but the point is that it's a new voter suppression bill, and it defines the requirements for ID that you have to submit to show voting, and a married woman who changes her name to match her husband would no longer be eligible to vote because the only thing you can show is your original birth certificate. Things like a driver's license will not be good enough, and so they'll pretend that this is something they overlooked and just a mistake, but I think it's not a mistake at all. I think it's just like Musk pretending that he wasn't doing a Nazi salute, but something else. The point of this is to suppress the vote of women, and I think that's many people are rebelling against the current Republican administration, which is just shutting down the national parks and the FBI and everything, just destroying the entire government. And so I think their only hope to stay in power is to institute extreme voter suppression very fast, so that in the elections in 2 years and 4 years, so many people will be unable to vote that they'll be able to continue minority rule, pushing incredibly unpopular policies like slashing Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security. They want to shut down the post office. That's happening today, and so on. I think very many Americans are not on board with this, so the Republicans need to prevent people from being able to vote to stay in power. Anyway, it's an amazing time we're living through. And here's Elon Musk. He wants to take down the International Space Station, of course, because he wants everything to be SpaceX, not NASA. He's very clear about it. He did succeed, I think, in canceling the government funding of Rivian because they were competing with Tesla. So now the government's being run by Elon Musk, who is also running many companies that survive on government contracts, and he is openly using his influence to penalize all his competitors. So, this is like Putin's administration. This is called kleptocracy, when you're ruled by thieves who are just stealing money from the government and using the government to extort people and get money out of them. China's DeepSeek already demonstrated that they were able to make a model that's apparently better than American AI models for much cheaper, and they published the weights publicly so anybody can just download it and run it. I run it locally on this machine, and now they want to publish all the source code openly, so they're being far more generous and far more public-spirited than the American companies, so they're embarrassing us both on a technical and a moral level, which is pretty easy to do since our government is now openly evil, not even pretending to have any morals, attacking Canada, trying to extort half of the entire wealth out of Ukraine for the aid we already gave them, and at the same time abandoning them so Putin can just take over. It is the Nazi regime currently ruling America is ending all pretense of us being the good guys in the world stage, and we're just a bunch of crooks stealing from everybody. And we're going to push cryptocurrency, of course, like the Trump coin and so on, as part of the general pro-corruption government now. So the largest cryptocurrency scam ever appears to have happened from some place called Bybit. They stole $1.5 billion from them. So this is one of the reasons why, until recently, cryptocurrencies were considered disgraceful and not permitted to run exchanges on American soil, except for very heavily regulated ones, because there are banking regulations to stop fraud and theft and extorting people, and they haven't managed to turn them all off yet. But there's the problem. The cryptocurrency exchanges tend to be run the way Elon Musk runs his companies like Doge, which is just a bunch of tech bros just barging in, throwing things up without really any controls or testing. So they tend to be done very sloppily, and they tend to get hacked. The UK government has demanded that Apple hand over plain text of everybody's stored data, and so Apple has responded by removing their encryption product in the UK. So they can openly tell them, we cannot encrypt your data in the UK, and I wondered what they would do. I thought they might just pull all Apple products out of the UK, but this may be a way to do it. Now, this may not save them, because the original UK law would apply to everyone everywhere. Somehow they claim this law would even apply to people outside the UK. And I don't know how they can do that, how they can expect UK law to cover people who are not in the UK. But Apple seems to be trying to do a reasonable thing here, just removing all pretense of encrypting data within the UK to comply with UK law, which seems to me like a pretty smart move. Apple is quite smart at dealing with these things. And this way, they not only obey the law in the UK, but they also put pressure on the UK government by advertising to the citizens of the UK that the government is ending their encryption. So maybe they'll put some pressure on their government to repeal that law. Nissan is going broke, apparently. I didn't know this. They have some financial disaster at Nissan, and they're trying to sell to other companies, and nobody will buy them, so their last hope is that maybe Tesla will buy them. But Tesla is in big financial trouble, too. There's growing pressure to push Elon Musk out, and their sales are falling. And I think given the enormous scandals that his political activities in America are causing, probably many more people are going to start boycotting Tesla. So they may not be in the mood to buy Nissan, but we'll see. So the Securities and Exchange Commission has had a bunch of lawsuits against Coinbase, the number one cryptocurrency exchange in America, which is Coinbase has been very careful to comply with the laws, which have been very difficult to comply with because the U.S. government has never quite decided what a cryptocurrency is. Is it a currency? Is it a stock? Is it a commodity? And it's not exactly any of those things, but each of those things is regulated by a different set of laws and agencies. So it has just been jerked around a lot by ever-changing strange edicts from the government, placing strange restrictions on what they're allowed to do, and they complained mightily about it. But it looks like the Trump regime is going to just remove all these lawsuits and just let them run wild, because that's certainly, this is what people euphemistically call the pro-business Republican Party, although the Trump gang has made it incredibly obvious that they're pro-fraud and pro-crime, financial crime. They love it. They've shut down the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and many other things, showing that they are perfectly happy if people just run crooked financial instruments in America now, like Trump is running himself. So this is pretty nuts. HP decided to make everybody wait 15 minutes for support on a call, even when they don't need to, hoping that that would just encourage them to go to the website instead. And now they've realized that wasn't such a brilliant idea. The customers are not happy about it. All right, and here's the Trump administration has pulled down hundreds of videos from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's YouTube channel, videos that say things like, how to protect yourself from scams and things like that. They originally said they're just taking everything down to scan it for gender ideology. But now here, how do I dispute an error on my credit report, and how can I improve my credit scores? They've taken all these things down as they try to pretty much remove anything that would actually help anybody who is being exploited for money, because, of course, Trump is nothing but a scammer himself with a crooked fake college, a crooked fake military charity, and just endless scams. So it's government by crooks, so they encourage crime. RFK promised he got it approved by the Senate by telling them he would not block vaccines, so now immediately he's blocking vaccines. He's canceled the meetings to plan the flu shots, canceled the advisory meeting. There's already been a bill proposed to ban the COVID vaccine in at least 2 states, and I think one is in the works to ban the COVID vaccine and all modern vaccines entirely in the United States. So this is more of the Trump's agenda, Project 2025. After this, things they would like to do is declare Christianity the national religion, ban divorce, ban birth control. They'd like to do all these things. We'll see how far they go. But certainly ending all government support and encouragement of vaccination is the first step. So we'll see how far this goes before the people push back. People are beginning to push back. Republican lawmakers, the few who actually have had meetings with their constituents, are getting a lot of complaints from their constituents now, as they're finding out that their relatives are fired from government agencies and the Veterans Administration can't support them anymore. Yosemite Park is closing the campgrounds because they've fired all the staff there. And, many beloved things like the post office and the national parks are being shut down. And the citizens of America are not happy. Even the Republicans that voted for Trump are not happy, feeling like this is not why they voted for him. They voted for him to punish perhaps immigrants and trans people and perhaps to make the grocery prices go down, but they didn't know he'd be shutting down the entire government like this. So we'll see. We live in interesting times. There will be many history books written about this time as one of the dark times in America and very possibly the end of American democracy. Anyway, that's it for the news.